Ah, love is in the air. Actually, no, wait, that's just the rain. And we're gonna celebrate Valentine's Day with a deck. Here is the Fern and Stark Smooch deck. It is an 8 standby deck centered around, obviously, Fern and Stark. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Also, nobody point out how unpainted my nail is. Now, I absolutely love this series, and the ring scene in Frieren literally made me cry. I love the action scenes in Frieren, don't get me wrong, but I'm more of a rom-com kind of guy. 100 girlfriends to Weiss Schwarz, please. Either way, we're gonna start off with our level 0s, and who knows, they might kiss along the way. Oh wait, before we do get started, I have to mention, TCG Player actually lost a couple of my packages, so this deck isn't fully optimized. I will cut in and tell y'all which cards I would have added and taken out. Fern and Stark have 2 effects, and their first effect is on play, give a character the following effect. On attack, Twin Drive, and if you trigger twice, send the top card of your stock to the waiting room. So you have Twin Drive, but you don't have to pay 1. Not the best, because I kind of would rather pay 1 and clean out some stock, but you can give it to anyone, including itself. Although their other effect is Act, pay 1, send this card to the waiting room. Top check 4 cards, add a character, mill the rest. This is a standby deck, so you have to load up your waiting room with cards. And the Twin Drive is solid because you can force out your standbys with your triggers. Speaking of standby, we do have a standby assister. Social Gathering Fern states on play from hand, top check your deck, and if it's a character, add it to your hand, and then you ditch a card. And when you play a climax, you can bounce this card back to your hand, you give a character 1k power. Wait, I wasn't done talking about this card. So the first effect, you can fix your hand, and if you have the standby target in your hand, you could actually ditch it. And when you play the climax, you bounce the Fern back into your hand, you give a character 1k power. You also have an open slot for your standby target. And also, you have this in your hand. Clock it for next turn, or you could play it for next turn to recycle its first effect. Great support card, and also the 1k power is also kind of nice. No, wait, one more thing. Since the standby climax effect and the Fern activate at the same time, you can choose which effect goes off. So either you could activate the standby and then bounce this up, or you could bounce this up and then activate the standby. Here's Dependable Mage Fern. She is pay 1, tap self-salvaging Brainstorm, and then up to 3 times per turn when you play an event, top check up to 2 cards from the top of your deck and rearrange them in any order. We do have events, but we're more concerned about the brainstorming effect. Again, it's a standby, so we are going to have to load up our waiting rooms. The Great Mage Sari is a classic Ricky, and her other effect is that she is an event swapper, but we only have 1 event in here. I would have tossed the 2-3 events from the trial deck, but we hate TCG Player. Mage Fern is a Climax Swapper and a level 0 bottom deck bomb. I love Climax Swappers that are also good battle cards. Magic to See-Through Clothing Fern is on play from hand. You could choose one of your opponent's positions, put all markers in that position to the waiting room, and her second effect is on play from hand, or when it's sent to the waiting room, you could pay 1, ditch a character, top check 3, add a card. Solid effect. Again, with your standby, you load up your waiting room, fix your hand, and you get a card. Whatever you need, actually. Also, you could use this effect twice, on play and when she's sent to the waiting room. You could also squish her as well. Time for our 1-ups because of this company that will not be mentioned. Mirrored Lotus Bracelet Fern is on play from hand, top check 2, choose up to 2, and put them back on the top of your deck in any order, and then you ditch the rest, and she's a level 0 bomb. Super solid card. You get to choose what you trigger, or if you're in a tight position, just start milling out your deck. Also, take a shot every time I've said load up your waiting room. Blowing a Kiss Fern is a drop search, and on play from hand, you can stock a card from your hand. So you can play this turn 1, and you're essentially playing her, stock a card from your hand, use that card to search because you will have a stock. It's almost as a ditch 2 to search. And finally, this level 0 Frieren. On play, ditch a card, top check 4, add a level 1 or higher card. There are a lot of level 1 or higher cards in this deck, and also the events are valid targets. Again, if they didn't lose my package, I would have had multiples of these. Level 1s. Typestats the hardest to deal with. Stark is your level 0 standby target. If you have 2 or more cards, this gains 2k power and character discard Encore. Honestly, I never play this card. I would definitely cut this out for more of the level 0s or the 2-3 event. Not this card though. Social Gathering Start gains 500 power for each of your other characters, and on play from hand, you could ditch a card, call a level 0 character from your waiting room onto the stage. So if you're needing your Brainstormer or the Fern and Stark card, you could call it onto the field. Also, you fix your hand. Load up the waiting room for those standby targets. An Older Woman Frieren. We love older women on this channel. Once per turn when you use an event and you have another character, Frieren gains 2k power. And on attack, all of your characters gain the following ability. When you trigger a climax, pay 1, blind stock, draw 1, ditch 1. So when you trigger your standby effect, you could pay 1 and activate this effect. It is because both effects activate at the same time. So you could activate your standby and then pay 1 to keep your stock clean, fix your hand. It's a damn good card. Here is the event, birthday present, cigarettes, and then you send this card to your memory. And then memory, if this card's in your memory, when you level up, you could ditch a card, add this card to your hand. You can use that effect during either player's turn, and you would want to hold on to them because of a card a little later. I will explain it then. Here's your level 1 standby target, which is your level 2 Warrior Stark. This card states that at the start of your attack phase, you could pop your climax, Master's Teachings, which is this one right here. Stand this card. So you play the climax, go to your attack phase, pop your climax, stand this card. It's very standard. His first effect is the interesting one. If all of your characters are magic or adventurer characters, this gains 500 power and the following effect. When your other character in the front row is attacked, you could send this card to the waiting room. That character cannot be reversed. This will come up, trust. So either way, AK5 body, and it is a solid effect as well. You can deny on reverse effects, and you can keep this card alive. And speaking of things staying alive, here is long-lived friend Frieren. She is a 3k backup and a memory counter. So keep these two in mind. All right, let's move over to the level 3s and your level 2 standby target. Here is Clumsy Birthday Stark. He has one effect, and that is Climax Combo. At the start of your attack phase, you could ditch a card, pop your Climax Privilege of the Young, stand this card. Call a Clumsy Birthday Fern from your waiting room to the stage, which is this card right here. And then you choose one effect, Great Performance, or stock a card from your waiting room. It is a solid effect. So the card you ditch can actually be the Fern if you have it in your hand and not in the waiting room. Now this Fern here gives 2k power forward. On play from hand, you heal. So unfortunately, because of the Stark effect, you're not going to get the heal. And pay 3, marker the 1/1 event, which is, again, this card right here. Then you rest this card, burn 2. I told you this would come back. All right, I'm going to show you how to play this card right now. You're at your level 2. You would want to have this card on board. And either this Fern in your waiting room or in your hand. You can either search or salvage out your Fern. So this card is going to stay on the board from your previous turn, ideally from your previous turn. Again, this one is in your waiting room. This Fern is going to be in your hand. You're going to play the standby. You're going to call out your Stark in the rest position, in the middle position. That part is important. You'll go to your attack phase, pop your climax, ditch a card, call out the Fern. This Fern could be in your waiting room or in your hand. We had it in our hand. We're going to play it in our back row. Ideally, it is going to be behind these two cards. This card stands. And now we are going to give it Great Performance. I don't have a good marker, so we're going to use this Tokyo City Cup from the Santa Anita racetrack. Now you'll go through your attack phase. We are going to assume that we had another card here. I don't know. Why not? So we'll swing, swing, swing. Now during your opponent's turn, all of their attacks will be going towards this Stark because of Great Performance. Now here's the thing. When your opponent attacks the 3/2 Stark, you use the 2/2 Stark effect. So now this one cannot be reversed. And this also goes around anti-early drops. So when your opponent attacks this Stark, you could pop this one, give this one the effect that it cannot be reversed. So it is going to stay on board. And if you really want to ruin your opponent's day, you could drop the memory counter on it because the on reverse gets sent to the memory effect lasts for the entire turn. So that way, if your opponent doesn't want their stuff to get sent to the memory, they're going to have to side attack or not attack at all. All right, so we are maintaining board presence, but you need to close the game out. We do have a couple other cards that you could run. You are running blue, so you can even possibly hard play this next card. New Year Celebration Fern is on play heal and on attack. You could pay 1, ditch 1. This gains 2k power and on reverse, burn 1. Toss this in front of this Fern and you're good to go. It's going to be at 14k power. And finally, I'll be honest, here's a card you're probably going to have to stand by out. Homeland Flower Frieren and Himmel. Gorgeous art. 4 or more character early play and on play heal during your turn. If you have another character, this gains 2k power and the following ability. On attack, pay 3, ditch 2, burn 4. This is your real finisher. So the stock does sound kind of heavy, but if you haven't noticed, you aren't paying really anything. A lot of the cards cost are ditching, not paying stock, and you're going to be standbying a lot of your cost heavy cards. You are going to have a lot of stock for a variety of effects, and you can even hard play a couple cards and not have any issues. you are doing small exact pieces of damage, which is solid. A lot of your cards are swinging for 2. This Fern right here is going to be burning for 2. And this card is burn 4, swing 2. And there we have it, a lovey-dovey deck featuring Fern and Stark, and the real finisher being Frieren and Himmel. Love is in the air, and this deck is super fun to play. I do have a local report up here if you haven't checked it out yet. And if you played the deck, let me know what you like about it. More importantly, has TCG Player been losing your packages, or is it just me? Thank you again. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.